So again, back to those weather headlines for your August 15th. Mostly dry today and hot out there today. Heat wave through the weekend, maybe again. Cross our fingers. This will be our last heat wave of the year. September can bring it, though. It can be hot in September, as we know as well. But we do see some signs of relief middle to the end of next week. And there's, again, that forecast. Upper 80s at noon, 92 this afternoon. We may see in some of the downtown areas, maybe around 93 today. 10% chance of that shower. I got under that 10% chance when I was at Prosser yesterday, just very light south breeze. Most of us did not get the rain yesterday. And we got a few more comments popping in as well. Lily and Lasley, good morning. Have a beautiful weekend and keep cool out there. Peggy Sipes, good morning to you. Thanks for dropping into the comments. Getting into that forecast here again, and the weekend forecast. We've got St. Mary of the Knobs. So this is Knobs Fest. Many of you in Southern Indiana know about this. Hey, in Kentucky, you want to come over the river, get that famous chicken dinner, but there's a lot going on tomorrow. 5:30 to midnight, you've got your select games and pull tabs. 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Juicebox Heroes will be playing live music all evening. Beer garden, food trucks, gambling, Big Six, blackjack, tethered hot air balloons. You can tell there's a lot going on. You can find more at www.yoursmk.org. And then Sunday, 11 to 3, famous chicken dinner, large kids zone, games of chance, games of skill, pull tabs, raffle drawings, food and ice cream outside. Some ways to keep cool with that. You know, the Kentucky State Fair always brings the heat. Very hot this weekend. You may want to plan. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you want to head out to the Kentucky State Fair, you might want to think about late next weekend, when we start to cool things off across the area. You can find all the calendars and everything else about the Kentucky State Fair at kystatefair.org. All right, I'm keeping tabs on this day by day. How many days until before 8 p.m. sunsets? That is 19 days. Fall begins, 38 days. That's September 22nd. Average highs in the 70s and 40 days. Average highs in the 60s, 65 days. I think it's around October 19th. I think it's that when we normally have our first 50-degree low temperature. So we're getting closer day by day. We got the Bliss coffee cup this morning. Cheers to you guys on this Friday. All right, back to the forecast. And high levels. We're going to make it high here with the allergy report, the ragweed, the plantain, the nettle, all the different weeds that are in my yard. I got to do some, really not grass mowing today. I need to do some weed mowing today. And I still have yet to put out the midsummer weed and feed. It's going to be a hot mow out there today. Speaking of hot, here's that forecast summary for today, 92 degrees. That's a few above our normal high at 89. Now, August 19th is when we go from our normal high of 89 down to 88. So that marks when we're past what is typically the hottest part of the year. So that's only like 4 days away. So tonight's forecast, maybe a few valley foggy spots, low 74 degrees. Not the best camping weather with the heat that we have around the area. Sun up at 6:58 tomorrow morning. Into the weekend we go. We get hotter, 75 if you're out early. That's the time to maybe get that walk in. 90 at noon and 95 for that afternoon high. And of course, you got football practices, tennis practices, other practices, cross country. Monday, Tuesday, back to school. Might have to think about delaying those practices to later in the evening time with the possibly some heat advisories on the way. 7-day forecast. Check out these numbers going around 95 Saturday, 96 Sunday, maybe 97 Monday. So 97, again, the hottest we've had so far this year. Technically, we've had a higher heat index with very muggy conditions. But we might tie or get above our hottest temperature so far this year. And then 95 on Tuesday. Going to go about a 20% chance of a shower Tuesday or thunderstorm, but mostly dry. And then Wednesday, our best chance of rain as a front will drop over the region. And then that'll drop our temperatures off. Looking at mid-80s and some lower humidity on the way next Thursday, Friday, and maybe an isolated shower with that. So starting to look better. for the last half of the 7-day forecast. Now, next weekend might warm up a little bit. We might get a little more humidity briefly ahead of a front that should bring in longer lasting relief for the last week of August. That will be around August 25th. We'll look at that again with the long range data here in a second as we dig into the weather model data. Moving right along, scooting right along here at 10:17. About right on track when we start to, again, bring up that weather model data. So we'll bring it up right now. Get rid of that, add this, and boom, here we go. So as I mentioned, the radar and satellite, very, very quiet across the region. Most locations will stay dry for today. Now I'm going to bring up the future radar just to show you, like yesterday, we're not going to see much popping up on the high resolution rapid refresh weather model or the NAM 3-kilometer weather model. I need to get rid of those river gauges. There we go. Back to the model data. So this here is the HRRR high resolution rapid refresh weather model at 1 p.m. It shows nothing. Moving ahead to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It is not popping up really. There you go. There's that 10% we're talking about. Could be just randomly placed. You can see it puts it just off to the southeast of Louisville. Late afternoon, might have enough heat to get us, one or two of those little very brief, very isolated pop-up showers. So again, around 10% chance of that for today. That's at 6 p.m. Most of the real estate across the area is going to be dry. If there is a pop-up, it shows a little better chance of that out towards Lexington on this weather model. Barely got a little breeze passed through here. That felt pretty good. Can you hear all the bugs? I hear katydid, and I hear the dog days of summer cicadas out here this morning. And let's go to the NAM 3-kilometer. This here is at 1 o'clock, showing a better chance. You can see up here to the northeast of us. 2 o'clock, don't see much. There's your 10%. Both of them trending more over Kentucky than Indiana for that slight pop-up. I don't know if you see it right there around Hardinsburg and Breckenridge County, a little tiny shower. And again, the models don't know exactly where this is going to happen, where this little 10% will happen. But it is funny this time of the year. If you do get the 10% shower, you're like, wait a minute, 100% chance. Well, we're talking about the entire region. Most areas dry. This is at 4 o'clock today. There you can see super, super isolated stuff. This shows maybe one will pop up in Louisville or maybe in Bullitt County. But the trend is drier southern Indiana. Mostly dry everywhere. But if there's a little pop-up, slightly better chance of that in the Commonwealth. And then this here is at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Same deal. Super, super isolated stuff for today. And then again, mainly dry through the weekend with the heat wave on the way. Let me see if I can bring up. We'll bring up the temperature map here for the weekend and beyond as we take a look at this heat wave. So we're going to go to let's go to tomorrow on the 16th. There's our heat wave. And actually, you don't have to go far north to feel a lot better. Carving out in that heat wave, northern Indiana. Up here, they're looking good. It is not like us up there. But here, you can see the heat wave in the darker shades here. All of this is heat wave stuff. So that means, again, just a bunch of heat index values over 100 degrees all over the place. So that's Saturday. And then let me bump this to Sunday. Really no change. There's Sunday heat wave, same deal. Go to Monday the 18th. No change, heat wave. And again, lots of 100 heat index all over the place. So all of that, I don't even know what color that would be. Dark pink. I don't know. It's all over 100. This is what I'm saying. There are heat advisories out west of us right now, kind of in the core of that heat wave. Going into the 19th, that is going to be Tuesday the 19th. We're just looking at this pretty decent heat wave, really. Hopefully our last one. It continues there Tuesday. Let's get to Wednesday, the 20th. That is our move-in day at IU. All right, so that's when we start to see a change here. Notice on Wednesday, we're starting to see that cooler air move in and starting to push the heat wave south. So next Wednesday, Thursday, that's our hope. Now, as I bring on the the reflectivity, I'm going to back this up a little bit. So this is along that front. Oops, get rid of the drawing there. So this is very early Wednesday morning. I'm going to go to Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. Shows just like some isolated stuff with this. And we're definitely going to need some rain by this time. So this is going to be our next pretty good chance of some showers and thunderstorms late Tuesday into next Wednesday. And then late Wednesday, it shows that rain starting to move off to the south of us as that front moves off to the south. And by that time, look at this. So we're starting to bring in that drier air. The tropical air moves south. And you might be like, what's that to the right of your screen? This is it'll be a major hurricane Aaron out here. The key is it stays off the East Coast. And the impact would be some large waves for the East Coast, of some riptides as well. So that is that. So the tropical air is starting to move south late Wednesday into Thursday. And then let's go into Thursday, the 21st. This is the precipitable water map. So this is all tropical. And then this is that drier air working in from Canada and the Great Lakes. So we are happy about that, especially next Thursday. Bringing up the dew point map. And what's good about this is if you've been watching day by day, we've been tracking this drop in humidity right around that time frame with the GFS, the European weather model, the Canadian weather model as well, right around that time frame. So you like to see the consistency in the weather models. That means the confidence goes that we'll have that nice change on the way. So this is the dew point map, measure the water content in the air. Starting to go down a bit. We like to see dew points in the 60s. It's a lot better than these dew points in the 70s that we have out there now. Let's go ahead to Friday. That'll be the 22nd. And we should still have some of that relief lingering. And again, I think this relief is going to come in a couple of waves as we see a little bit of relief late next week. I think we'll get some bigger relief the following week around August 25th. So looking a lot better here with these dew points in the lower 60s even. Noticeably lower humidity in the forecast right now for, again, next Thursday, Friday. So we're getting into the latter stages of the forecast here. So that means been on a limb, been on a limb. So what I want to show past this, so we're right around the end of the 7-day forecast. I want to go August 25th. Let's see if it still shows it. A punch of drier air moving in. At least we hope so. So yeah, you've got lower dew points over much of the eastern United States, which is definitely a good thing for the last week of August. And then, actually, let me bring up the actual temperatures. Right around the 21st. So about a week from now. I don't think we'll get quite this cool, but low mid 80 potential. There you go. Feast your eyes on that. So that is that relief we're talking about. Right now, I'm going mid 80s, lower humidity next Thursday. So that would be definitely a benefit. Who is tired of summertime? I'd say from the comments I've seen, we're probably around 30% want summer to continue, about 70% want fall to come and to cool down. It's like the end of winter. Like when we get towards the end of summertime, the passion grows for the next season. We see it every year, which is just natural, human nature to kind of want that change, I would say. All right, let me go ahead and bring up the Climate Prediction Center's 8 to 14 day outlook. And I like this. I hope it happens. So this is the 6 to 10 day outlook, showing a bit of a cool down over parts of the Ohio Valley. And then the 8 to 14 day outlook offering more hope for our region. And if you go to the Climate Prediction Center's website, they're a division of the National Weather Service that looks longer range. And so this would say above normal chances of below normal temperatures. And then so the ridge of high pressure and the heat heading out west last week of August into early September. And who knows, maybe that'll give us a longer lasting weather pattern change, getting rid of the excessive heat and humidity for a long time. We can hope. We can hope. All right. So that is the long range outlook. Now, if you're a storm chaser, there's not much hope of that this time of the year. Oops. Climate Prediction Center, you got to go up to slight risk of severe storms today, eastern South Dakota, southern Minnesota, and then into Wisconsin. There's a hummingbird flying by pretty fast. Day 2, severe weather outlook. Just level 1 up north. No outlooks for severe weather for us. This is day 3 off to the north of us. So severe weather, not something we're have any concern about anytime soon. Back to the rad sat here. And to Aaron, which is now becoming a hurricane. So this shows the track of that hurricane. Let me go ahead and bring this up full screen. If you're interested in the tropics, you can see it was kind of cool where this storm came from, and originating off the west coast of Africa as a tropical wave, became a tropical depression, then tropical storm, and then hurricane. Let me make this clickable. So there's Aaron's maximum sustained wind, 74 miles per hour. So 74 is the threshold for Category 1 hurricane, staying to the north of Puerto Rico as a major Category 3 hurricane. And then the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center has it going to a Category 4 major hurricane, maybe maximum winds up to 130 miles per hour. And then pretty much all of the weather model data has this storm staying east of the Bahamas, staying east of the east coast of the United States. So every one of these little lines, called the spaghetti plot, is a forecast, a tropical forecast weather model. And if you look closely, you can see they're all thankfully curving it away from the United States. And there's a little tropical feature in the west coast of the Gulf. Oops. Bring that back up. There's a little tropical low down here, spreading some wet weather toward southern Texas, and that will never impact our area. So there is your tropical update. We can also bring up if you go to nhc.noaa.gov, if you ever want to keep track of the tropics as we head towards the peak of the hurricane season, here's where all the experts, tropical experts, live. National Hurricane Center, nhc.noaa.gov. So there's Tropical Storm Aaron. Again, that forecast is to become a hurricane today. Here's a look at the latest from the National Hurricane Center. So 2 p.m. Saturday, so tomorrow afternoon, just north of the Leeward Islands. And then, so this weekend, north of Puerto Rico, east of the Bahamas, major hurricane, Tuesday, Wednesday. So as we get to the middle of next week, if you have vacation plans around South Carolina, North Carolina, big wave action. Myself, I would love that because I always like to try to rent a surfboard and do a horrible job at it if I were on vacation, and do some of the boogie boarding, as long as it was safe to do. I've got to admit, I have swam many times with those double red flags out there. I don't advise it. I don't recommend it, but the waves are fun. All right, checking in on some of those comments before we get back to your forecast. Just pop it in. We're finished with digging into the weather model data here at 10:34, and then we're going to recap that forecast here for you on this Friday edition. We've got a ready for fall from Erica. Christopher Ramos popping in with a blank comment. Mary Dale, I just got here in time to hear the good news, that being the relief. Oh, Margaret, believe, have hope. Margaret McCain, I no longer believe in the long-awaited cool down. Too crushed. It is still a decent wait, I'll give you that, but the models are agreeing on that cool down by next Wednesday, Thursday. So keep that hope alive. And by cool down, it's not going to get cool. It's just going to get, we're not going to be in a heat wave. We're going to be at or maybe a little bit below normal, mid 80s, lower humidity.